Hi, I'm Bryce Payton, and this is EDL 852, Module number 12 case study. Who should create the school vision? First off, what is a mission and vision statement? Mission, how would you describe your school to others? And vision would be how others see your school. And how to create one? When creating a mission and vision statement, it's critical that you collaborate with stakeholders of all kinds, such as school staff, community members, business leaders, etc., to establish a foundation of values and priorities that your school would want to be known for and focus on. So this case study, the summary, the Lightville Community School District consisted of 2 rural townships. Their townships are growing rapidly at a 2% pace. They looked into adding onto existing buildings, adding onto both buildings, or building a brand new junior high school facility, which they ultimately decided on. The expansion brought up the opportunity for Joe Rollins, the superintendent, to hire a new administrator for the building. And of the 22 applicants for the position, the district hired Susan Potter. She was quickly in charge of 3 things: making staff decisions, organizing programs, and collaborating with construction managers. She created a vision and planning committee consisting of 4 teachers and 4 parents. She suggested that the first duty needed to be to collaborate as a group to develop a vision and mission statement. Helen is a teacher, English and social studies teacher, that is also on the committee, and she seemed to speak for everyone and thinks that Susan should reflect on her own values and priorities and come up with a vision and mission statement to bring back to the committee for them to give feedback and their opinions on it. Susan ultimately disagreed with Helen and the others and she was deciding on what to do before the next meeting. Legal or ethical issues. There was no real legal issues. There's no laws were broke, no breach of contract of any kind. Ethical issues. The committee was designed to work collaboratively to design and implement a new school and mission statement, and Helen essentially disregarded the request and pushed for Susan just to do it independently, and the rest just kind of followed in her suit. The school board members should not be discussing decisions, possible ideas with teachers, even if they are brother and sister. That's just something that ethically they should not be sharing information back and forth about anybody or any ideas that they have. With what's being asked of Susan, I agree. I think that other administrators should be involved in the decision-making process to help her out, especially at the beginning of this. I mean, she's just kind of been given the keys to the whole school and said, "Here you go." Synthesizing what's happened, the school board and the visioning and planning committee believe that the newly hired principal, Miss Susan Potter, it's her job to create the mission and vision statement for the new building because she is more qualified to do so, but she feels as though it should be done collaboratively rather than her creating them independently and only seeing her values and beliefs. The people. Susan Potter is the new principal at the new junior high building, coming from an assistant principal at a suburban community. I think this is kind of a big topic. I think this is going to be a big adjustment for Susan, going from an assistant principal to a head principal of a brand new school and going from a suburban community to a rural community. You can already tell that the rural ways are kind of rearing their heads. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody just kind of follows along suit with things. So that brings me to Helen Burke, the English and social studies teacher who is on the newly formed committee. Joe Rollins is the superintendent of the district, who ultimately decided on the new building and hired Miss Potter. The school board, they voted 4-1 in favor of the new building. Stakeholders Community members split into 3 different groups when the superintendent's recommendation came out about the new building and facility. Split into, farmers that didn't want to spend any more money for debt, and the newly people that are moving into the town that wanted to expand. So it just separated the community and divided the community a little bit. The committee, group of selected teachers and parents from the community to develop and implement the school's new vision and mission. Students, the steady rise of enrollment of 2% a year has forced the district to look into this. So that's the whole reason, is they're just expanding in the small town. Place, Lightville School District. It's a rural community, about 10 miles from a major city. Has a K-12 school. Currently 1,200 student enrollment. Some unknowns would just be the demographics and diversity of the district and the overall SES of the community. Program, we'll be focusing on the 6th through 8th grades at the new building. Susan Potter is in charge of the school's programs, the scope of the curriculum, extracurricular activities, instructional approaches. Some unknowns are just unsure which subject areas and which teachers are moving from one building to the next, from the lower grades up to the junior high, or from the high school down. They're just unsure of who exactly is moving what. Review. The conflict could be and will be damaging to the stakeholders and the community if not done correctly. The community data from polling the community was 53% to 47% in favor of those who wanted the new building. With these numbers being that close, issues with the new principal, Susan, could cause more division and finger pointing amongst the stakeholders. Susan Potter, Helen, the rest of the committee, the school board, and the superintendent, Joe Rollins, all have key roles in this decision-making process, and I feel like they have to get this right to bring the community back. 4 teachers on the committee with a district of 1,200 students, in my opinion, is not enough input. There needs to be more outside stakeholders involved to get a better understanding of the community and what they want. Lastly, there needs to be other administrators that give their opinion on the mission and vision statements so they can have it district-wide and have the same core set of values. There's more information that needs to be presented to Susan about the community from more stakeholders to grasp what the values actually, what they actually value. And at this time, I believe Susan can make a decision about what to do next, but more information or better communication from others to her, just building relationships, would be more beneficial for all the parties involved. What are the options? I feel like we have 3 options. Number 1 would be to reach out to Helen Burke to get her on board. For Susan coming to the meeting with just some main ideas for the mission and vision, and then work collaboratively at the meeting with the committee to build rapport and gain more knowledge from them. Then give Susan time after the meeting to create a meaningful mission and vision statement from the information that was given to her and brought back to the committee at the next meeting. Number 2, go ahead and just create a mission and vision statement the way the committee wants and bring it to the next meeting and be assessed accordingly. Or number 3, meet with the other principals and the superintendent, Joe Rollins, to come up with a new course of action. Evaluating these. Positive to number 1 would be getting on the same page with Helen prior to the meeting, meeting with her. The group will hopefully assist in giving suggestions as to what values they want to be shown in their new school once that connection is made. Negative to that could be Helen could not cooperate with Susan and be not willing to assist her. This could lead to her and the rest of the committee losing respect for her and moving forward and not doing what they've asked her to do prior to this next meeting. Number 2, you could nail the vision and mission statement on the head and create statements that fit the community just perfect, and the district will, well, while showing independence to those committee members that you just did what you're supposed to do. A negative to that would be that the statements that Susan creates could be way off basis and just be accepting of some criticism from the committee and stakeholders. Number 3, the other administrators may understand exactly where you're coming from, moving from a suburban community to a rural, and they may have some personal experience, advice from the teachers, community members that may help. On the flip side, they might lose credibility in the other administrators as well as the superintendent. And clearly, if anybody else gets wind of this in the rural community, it's not going to end well for Susan either. So choosing the best option. The best option would be to reach out to Helen Burke to get her on board. Susan come into the meeting with main ideas, like I mentioned earlier. Then give Susan time. I feel like that's the big thing. So learn from them, build a rapport, and gain knowledge from the other committee members. And then she can still be in charge of writing it and creating it. She just needs help getting the information that the district actually wants. This option has a real chance of building that relationship with Helen and really explaining to her what she means to that committee and how much weight she has in that community. I believe this is the best option because I feel like if you can talk to Helen and get her to think the bigger picture of the district and the community and see what they're actually doing. You're building a brand new building, creating it all by yourself, or creating it together, and focus on the future success and well-being of each student. I think she'll be totally on board. After discussion with Helen, the goal is to have ideas ready to go on to start the meeting with the popcorn sharing ideas, writing them on a board for all to see. And this is important that all members should have an equal part in the creating of the mission and vision statement. Implementing the decision, okay? Set up a time to meet with Helen needs to be first. Susan should not be afraid of meeting her by herself. They're both professionals and ultimately have the same goal. I think just right now they had a disagreement on how to get there. Helen has to know, starting out, that Susan, as the leader, it would be great for the school staff and the parents to work together to inspire some hope in the future by creating this together. Small talk, okay? Learn some small talk. Learn about how each one got to Lightville Community School District. How did they do it? Were they born in? Was Helen born and raised there? Break the ice in a non-threatening way. You don't want to. You don't want to threaten anybody. Explain this has been a difficult time and how much you expect her input. Once she agrees, gather the information as a mission and vision statements from the elementary school and the high school to compare. Those should be right there, and you should be looking directly at those for similarities. Come up with some values and priorities to go to the meeting with. Have Helen, the chair of the committee, start the meeting by helping Susan write the ideas on the board. I think she needs to be active into this so that the rest of the committee sees her being involved. And after all the input is on the board, Susan will take the information and create a mission and vision and bring it back to the committee for the next meeting. A plan B would just be that Susan needs to have a mission and vision statement ready to go. A very basic one, in my opinion, that she thinks would fit well, but just have one as a plan B. And prior to the meeting, Susan, Helen, and I think Joe needs to be aware, the superintendent needs to be aware of what's going on. And here are my references. Thank you.